Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies, and in-betweeners. My name's Dan. Welcome back to another PAP Reports. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of February 2020. Today we're starting with the Met Police and a Met Police inquiry that has found credible evidence that now retired Andy Coles deceived a 19-year-old activist into a sexual relationship. The woman, known as Jessica, an animal rights activist, was part of a group that Coles infiltrated as an undercover spy, for want of a better word, between 1991 and 1995, where he allegedly entered into a sexual relationship with her. Coles has denied that he had an intimate relationship with the woman while he infiltrated political groups in the 90s, dismissing her claims as lurid. However, a Scotland Yard investigation has ruled in favour of the woman after she made a complaint alleging that he had deceived her into a sexual relationship. Coles resigned as the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough after his undercover past was revealed. He said media coverage had significantly impacted his ability to conduct his duties. And that's certainly not a bad thing. Maybe the more dodgy public servants that are exposed in public, the harder it will be for them to keep their jobs, leaving better behaved public servants to do the jobs properly. However, he has remained in another post as a Conservative councillor on Peterborough City Council, although Jessica and others have called for him to step down as a councillor. In legal papers, Jessica said she would not have consented to the relationship if she had known he was police. I don't blame her. The Metropolitan Police's Directorate of Professional Standards started an investigation in 2017 after the complaint was made. In its letter outlining the results of its investigation, the Met said Coles was twice interviewed under caution and on both occasions gave a prepared statement denying he had had an inappropriate relationship and declining to answer any further questions. A policeman denying wrongdoing? The letter also told Jessica that her complaint had been upheld, adding, "In all of the circumstances, it is credible that Coles met you during his deployment and a relationship developed. Therefore, it was no longer contesting her legal action and would discuss compensation." The letter also stated that the Met's investigation had not found him guilty of gross misconduct, but added if he had still been serving, he would have been subject to a misconduct hearing. Sergeant Michael Sooley from Essex Police and based in Clacton has been the subject of his own misconduct hearing recently. Michael was, as all police are, subject to random drugs tests, and when his turn came around, he refused to provide a urine sample. Refusing to provide a sample is deemed to be as serious as failing a test, just as it is for refusing to take a breath test for drivers. When asked, Sooley said the reasons for his refusal related to concerns that the test would return as positive because he took CBD oil and that he had recently been at risk of passive inhalation of cannabis smoke while off duty. Ex-Sergeant Sooley is said to have had a previously unblemished career but was found to have breached standards of professional behaviour for orders and instructions and discreditable conduct and was dismissed without notice. Finally, some real zero tolerance action against their own. Chief Constable Harrington said, "We police with consent, so maintaining the trust and confidence of the public is essential. The requirement for officers to take drugs tests under specific circumstances is essential to ensure that public officers are not taking illegal drugs. It also serves as a deterrent to the small minority of officers who may be tempted. A refusal to take a test when lawfully required is a very serious matter and as a result is treated the same as if an officer failed the test. Where officers self-declare substance misuse related issues prior to testing, there is welfare support in place to help them." Previous winner of a Chief Constable's Award, PC Mark Hall from Leicestershire Police, has lost his job after the 46-year-old crashed his car, injuring another driver on October the 22nd last year after drinking. His excuse? He'd been drinking after seeing a photo of his ex-wife and kids with her new partner. Hall said he had been to see his ex-wife, who lives with their 2 young children, in the Hinckley area and spotted a photograph of the 4 of them on holiday together. Police at the scene could tell Hall had been drinking and a subsequent blood test later showed him to be just over twice the drink driving limit. It seems that he was on his way to his parents' house in Staffordshire, where he had been staying, but on the way in Bagworth Road, Nailston, near Colville, he swerved across the road and was involved in a head-on collision that caused the male driver of another vehicle whiplash injuries, although there's nothing that tells me why he swerved. Hall pleaded guilty to drink driving at Leicester Magistrates Court on Tuesday. Louise Stevens, representing Hall, said Hall had received a commendation from the force in 2003 for his handling of a hostage situation and was given a Chief Constable's Award in 2017 for his work tackling antisocial behaviour. He will lose his employment with Leicestershire Police. He's been serving the people of Leicestershire not just well, but excelling. As a result of this, he will also have difficulties seeing his children and have to find alternative employment. What a shame. You break the law, you pay the price. Now, thanks to Nick, or your wife, for sending the next story via WhatsApp. A former Devon police constable has been awarded £100 compensation. 53-year-old retired police constable Chris Burke won his compensation after spilling some red wine in his kitchen. Just let that sink in for a moment. Chris from Barnstaple said, I brought a bottle of red wine from Lidl and it would appear the cork wasn't fitted correctly. He claimed his white walls were left splattered with red wine stains and the damage was caused when the cork fell straight into the bottle. I placed a corkscrew on the top and the cork slipped straight into the bottle and red wine squirted, or ejaculated if you like, out of the bottle all over my white walls. The 3 walls had to be repainted and the kitchen blind was covered in red wine, so that needed to be replaced too. I went straight back to Lidl the very next day. I explained what had happened and they took the bottle and refunded it straight back. Chris said he had to buy a new tin of paint for £30 and spent 9 hours repainting the kitchen. 9 hours repainting the kitchen. He also had to replace a £93 blind and wanted Lidl to compensate him for both items, a total of £123. He said he then faced a battle with Lidl to pay for the damage, which they have eventually offered to compensate him for. He was eventually offered £98.91. Well, Chris, thank you so much for this inspirational story. I mean, I dropped a chicken ball on the carpet last week with sweet and sour sauce on it, and it stained the carpet. Now, your story has made me realise that I simply shouldn't stand for it. And if the takeaway refused to pay for a new 19-foot by 10-foot shag pile carpet, then I'm suing their asses, because I'm also a pathetic, crooked ex-cop. Oh, wait a minute, actually. No, I'm not. Silly me. I've just had an epiphany. Just realised that it was an accident. No one's really to blame. Looks like those lessons you learned on the force are really paying off for you. Now, the following story is from Daniel, who sent this through Facebook. Now, this isn't exactly a story of police or other public officials wrongdoing, but I wanted to add this as a bit of a balance to these reports. A West Yorkshire police constable who had just spent several hours with a devastated family following the sudden death of a baby popped into a Tesco store to get something to eat after his shift. Upon leaving the store, he found that someone had left a note for him on his windscreen stating £100 fine for shopping on duty. The constable took to social media to express his disbelief at the note, saying, "Just left Tesco. Handwritten note on the windscreen of my patrol car. £100 fine for shopping on duty. If only I could tell the person who wrote it I have just spent the last 7 hours at the sudden death of a baby. I'd brought a sandwich. We're not robots. #be kind. #wound up." West Yorkshire Police Inspector Steve Hunter said, "The public sometimes really shock me. You never know what an officer has dealt with so far today. It is an incredibly challenging job for many reasons, including tragic incidents like this, but actually Even if the officer has had an easy shift, they are entitled to eat. Now, I understand that everyone's got to eat. In many jobs, grabbing a quick snack while on duty is permissible. And I personally don't see there being a problem with the police or other emergency workers doing exactly that. Many people watch these reports and the channel and think that I'm a cop hater with a vendetta against the public officials, and it's completely untrue. I do not agree with people leaving bitchy notes just for the sake of it. And if the constable was parked in a bay, then it's not really anybody's business, unless he was doing something he shouldn't be, like harassing someone. And in my opinion, someone's simply done this as a prank rather than maliciously. I mean, how could anybody know what he's been up to beforehand? I've so far not found any mention where the police car was actually parked. And in fairness, many police do break road traffic regulations simply because they're in a marked vehicle and they think they can get away with it. But in fact, they're still bound by the same rules as the rest of us, unless dealing with an incident. Therefore, if that was the case, then I can understand other road users being miffed. So I'm not having a go at the cop for being a little pissed off at this. But what does annoy me about this report is the fact that we are being made to feel guilty about the fact that the cop has had a bad day. I know of many cases where people have had a bad day, but have been pounced on by police and other officials nonetheless, who give little to no shits about what they've been through. In this case, the person who left the note couldn't possibly have known, and unfortunately we do not know if the police vehicle was parked properly or not, which does make a difference in my opinion. West Yorkshire Police Inspector Steve Hunter says the public sometimes really shock me. But I have to say, is it really a surprise? Considering that respect for the police has been dwindling at a rapid pace for years now. Imagine if a member of the public was in a similar situation and, let's say for argument's sake, was parked in the wrong place. Do you think that parking enforcement, or police for that matter, would wonder about what the driver had been up to prior to that moment? Or would they simply ticket or clamp or remove the vehicle because it was breaking rules or road traffic regulations? Again, I'm not saying that the cop was doing any of that, but there's also no indication that he wasn't. And let's face it, police's favourite line, on the balance of probabilities, he likely was. But this is partly where the lack of respect comes from towards the police, because they think they can do things that we're not allowed to. I personally don't think there was any need for the note if he was parked properly, and I also don't think there was any need for the tweet, trying to make the public feel guilty over something nobody could possibly have known. But although the police can be, and often are, cretinous, we should also remember that they are the ones that deal with things like deaths on a regular occurrence. And so simply attacking them without cause is a waste of time and inappropriate. We need to be calling them out and highlighting genuine failures rather than just being bitchy over stupid things, as it's simply going to make our task of holding them accountable much, much more difficult as they fight back against the public harder. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will, and until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.